Welcome back to Movie Recap. Today I'm gonna show you a 2020 Russian World War II film called The Last Frontier. Spoilers ahead. Sit back, relax and enjoy the video. A setting full of an army under the weather of heavy rainfall is in the country of Moscow, Russia. As they get ready for a practice war, a group of men are towing a machine inward shouting to come and to move faster. They are being commanded to spread the outriggers and ready their weapons. Every man in the group is busy in their own respective areas. There is a target, a man shouts, all of them are bawling out their voices commanding one another. But the other man slides himself to the mud as he is receiving orders from his co-army, for he is also panicking due to what is happening around him. The splash of the mud is proof of how challenging the war is. Yet, no one is stopping from moving and working. They continue their alliance of unity amidst the heavy rain as they are passing a bullet to be loaded in their war machine. One man screams saying that the armor-piercing is already loaded, letting everyone know that it will launch any time toward their target. A man in front who is controlling the machine screams to make everyone ready, while the other on his side screams to fire, and right at that moment the bullet of armor-piercing fires directly to the target's side. The comrade colonel of the training grounds of artillery and infantry is amazed at the man in the gun layer, namely, Cadet Lavrov. The comrade calls to prepare the third target, yet Lavrov puts a silly move on aiming the three targets in front of them. His strategy was to target the string that connects all three targets, causing all of them to fall down all at once. One of the soldiers asks Lavrov what is he doing, does he want them to get grounded again, worriedly. With the silly move of Lavrov, two ladies who are medical assistants from the side are talking about the soldiers. A lady whispers to her friend's ear saying that she thought that Dmitry Shemyakin is the best for her in response to her friend's comment about Lavrov, because she says Lavrov is better than everyone. However, Comrade Colonel is furious at Junior Sergeant Lavrov's action during the training, so he confronts him right in front of his face and with his co-soldiers. Junior Sergeant Lavrov explains his side to Comrade Colonel. He was asked how many targets he destroyed. He answers 3, but Colonel screams in his face too. Colonel makes Lavrov realize what mistake he has made, but failed to explain the scenario well. So, Sergeant Dmitry Shemyakin takes a step forward, presenting himself as he answers Colonel's concern. The Colonel instructs them, and as soon as it ends both Lavrov and Shemyakin talk about Masha. At first Dmitry tells Lavrov to stay away from Masha, but their conversation ends between their deal. Their deal is to not make any move, Lavrov nor Shemyakin. They will let Masha choose either of them, and if that happens then so be it. They shake hands as a sign of an agreement towards their deal. Upon the night of the deal of the both junior sergeants, Lavrov and Dmitry, Lavrov goes to the Podolsk artillery school and sneaks inside. He slips a flower between the fingers of Masha as she is in deep sleep. Lavrov quickly hides as the commander doctor approaches the table of Masha, causing her to wake up. She asks Masha where did she get the flower, and who gives it to her, but she has no idea until they hear a clattering sound from their side caused by Lavrov's hiding. Masha approaches the area where the sound came from, and there she sees Lavrov hiding, and approaches him with a scolding, but ends up with minutes of heaven. As soon as Lavrov gets back to their room, Dmitry knows that he breaks their deal. He confronts Lavrov for breaking their deal, which leads them to an exchange of throwing punches to one another. Then and there the commander battery came asking what happened, intentionally changing the atmosphere, saying that the other one only falls from the bed, and the other helps, causing them to have scratches and wounds in their faces. Yet, Dmitry impulsively contradicts the commander as he honestly reveals that they had a fight, causing Lavrov to experience a close expulsion. In the office where the commanders and heads of the war, they receive an order saying to deploy the Podolsk military school, since it is only what they have, and they should deploy everything they have, right away. At once, Comrade Colonel deploys everyone from their artillery, and both Lavrov and Dmitry are set free from their punishment to join the deployment. While on their way, German troops make rain of bullets from the sky, causing an early disadvantage to the artillery, resulting in one death. In the middle of the night, while the army from Podolsk is on the road, they encounter their comrades with the help of Alex Lavrov's identity, and the other battle buddy, namely, Yerikin, remembers him, causing everyone to stand down. The comrade captain reveals that their approach to the Podolsk is their bait to capture Nazis in the road area. As soon as the morning came, the reconnaissance came along the side of the soldiers of Russia. Exchange of bullets are made, numbers from the artillery become less, while Lavrov trying to retreat is caught in a one-man situation by the comrade captain of their buddy, resulting in Lavrov to demotion. Comrade Colonel Strelbitsky, arriving in the Ilyinsky frontier, is stressed out due to the lack of defense built in the area. Following is the arrival of Smirnov, asking for any strategy for their defense. Comrade Colonel suggested blowing up the bridge, since the Germans will have no other choice but to cross the bridge. Vasily forbids it, yet Smirnov gives Strelbitsky complete authority to command anti-tank fire. In the other phase of Moscow and Warsaw, high vanguard position exchange of bullets starts to pave the way. Everyone is panicking and a wry-making noise. The Germans let the Russians buy some time, for they are still planning to hold until the fortifications are complete. Tanks of Russian troops are sent to Podolsk, and their reserves are said to arrive later, according to Captain Smirnov. They will face the German soldiers on the frontier, so the rest of the cadets in vanguard are to disband. Troops rejoin the battalion before dawn because 68 soldiers die in the attack. Lavrov along with Captain Storchak's guys are on the way going back to their main position. Lavrov is lying down, and Masha is comforting him while on the road. On the opposite side, the first line of defense in Ilyinsky frontier soldiers are sleeping, writing a poem, and craving for food and water. There is no sign of enemies, not until the sudden attack of Germans surprises all of them, which are coming from heaven. With the sudden attack of the enemies, all the soldiers of the frontier stay down only, hiding themselves in the trenches. The timing of the German troops are least expected by the Russians, so they all end up being casualties. Not only bombs are thrown, but also multiple missiles are being let go by Germans to destroy everything in the ground. Land explosions are massive because of the bombing and missile throwing. In the landscape of the second line of defense, Lieutenant Alyoshikin is in position. They see tanks of the enemies coming through in front. Nevertheless, Russian soldiers in the said area are alert and attentive. They start bombing the tanks of the Germans, and are able to take down 2 tanks, which causes other enemies and alliance of Germans to retreat. A quiet night with a moon so bright reunites Dmitry and Lavrov. They meet each other in the area where Lavrov is taking medication. They check on each other's company. With that tough and touching moment, Captain Storchak together with 3 other buddies are on the move to look out for the enemies. As soon as he sees the Germans' hideout, he quickly orders his other buddies to report what they see onto the headquarters. Thanks to the reconnaissance, the Russian head captains are able to talk about it, and come up with a strategy. Captain Smirnov himself tells comrade majors that they need their help, and that Russian troops and soldiers cannot do it all alone. Smirnov also orders them to meet Major Dementyev, commander of Missile Artillery Battalion, for he is the reason why there are new weapons, though it requires secrecy. Back to the 2 reunited buddies, Lavrov and Dmitry are both walking under the bright light of the moon on the way to see their other buddies in the second line of defense. But out of nowhere, both of them stop as a man from a passing vehicle approaches them. With this encounter, both of them do not have any idea yet, but when there is another vehicle approaching, they hide under the tree. When the second vehicle stops, and approaches the comrade of Strelbitsky who is biking, the unknown soldier takes a knife, and strikes it into the stomach of him. Both Lavrov and Dmitry witness this incident and manage to report to Smirnov. After that incident, Storchak is still on his move. Through the data he gathers, and because of the report of his comrade, they are able to make a concrete plan on attacking the Germans. Their attack towards the Germans in the area of Storchak is successful. Storchak is able to catch the German, who is pretty sitting down relaxing while drinking and fishing. They bring the German to the headquarters, and are undergoing interrogation in front of the head captains. The German is begging to spare his life. He said that he is willing to say everything he knows with regards to their plans and attack, but just don't take his life. He mentions that they are advised to push for Moscow as fast as they can, so they do it. The Germans even reveal the next areas they are planning to attack, that Germans will push through the bridge in a few days too. With that kind of situation in the headquarters, another attack by the Germans happens unexpectedly. They start to attack the bridge. In spite of the attack, Strelbitsky is still being convinced by the soldiers in the second line of defense to reach out to other troops in other areas to help, but Strelbitsky refuses, saying that they are his last reserves. Endless exchange of fire bullets, wrestling bloodbath, and many lost lives are made only within one certain attack from both sides. Due to that scenario, Captain Smirnov commands to put explosives under the bridge, and to blow at once with accordance to his order. In the third line of defense, Masha is looking for Dmitry, and as soon as he sees Dmitry, he comes right away to him. Dmitry is going to Bolshaya Shubinka, and Masha tells Dmitry that she will be waiting for him. Right exactly the moment Masha hugs Dmitry is the time Lavrov arrives, witnessing it, but Masha leaves crying when Lavrov approaches Dmitry. An attack is ongoing in the nearby village of Bolshaya Shubinka, in which rattled exchange of bullets from guns and tanks are non-stop. The Germans even have a fire gas gun burning every Russian in front of their way. In the medical site of Russian soldiers, Junior Political Commissar Filipov reports to Strelbitsky that they fail to hold the Bolshaya Shubinka, quoting that only 40 infantry are left, and all the artillery die burning. When Colonel Strelbitsky is about to leave the medical site, the mother of Salva approaches him, and asks what is happening, and why the young kids have to fight. Salva's mother is devastated, crying her heart out to Strelbitsky because the war is turning into a massacre, making his son die. She also tells the captain that all of them will perish, but he replied determinedly that if so, then that must be that. A message above from the sky drops into the soldiers, which are specifically for the valiant Red Cadets. What the letter is saying is that their resistance has lost its meaning already, because the Germans are already seizing the Warsaw Highway almost up to Moscow. In connection to that, when Strelbitsky came to the medical post, a group of injured soldiers came to him saying that they underwent a Komsom meeting. That they think that they should go back to the field amidst their injuries. However, Strelbitsky still pledges them to go to the hospital and cure their wounds and injuries because they are the future of the country Russia. Lavrov is stubborn enough to ask Dmitry to play along with him and help him pretend that he is going to the hospital, but rather fall behind Dmitry and stay in line with troops. Right after the injured soldiers go to hospital, both the third line of defense by Lieutenant Musarides and Shapovalos is taken care of by Masha by handing first aid packs. Masha tells Lavrov that they will soon be back to Podolsk as they will fall back. Tanks started to arrive. The Russians are exclaiming their joy, but Germans put Russia's flag into their tanks to trick them. Accordingly, with the arrival of tanks is another set of never-ending trade of bullets. But Russians are alert enough to attack right away the moment they know that it is just a trick. Dmitry is in front of Masha when he receives 3 shots of bullets inside him. Masha rapidly comes to him. Dmitry confesses his love towards Masha as he is bleeding blood, and asks Masha if it is true that they swap spit in the accord. Masha admits it. As Lavrov arrives, he witnesses the death of his friend along with the company of Masha. Lavrov is furious after witnessing Dmitry's death, so he quickly goes to aim the tanks of the enemies, even though they were ordered to fall back. He continuously aims the tanks of the Germans with the limited loads of bullets, but still he successfully aims the enemy's tank with their last shot. But then, they explode because missile grenades are thrown inside the area where they are in. In the end, troops of Moscow marches, and announces the fierce fight their soldiers experience in the battlefield. There is a huge loss within their army, and as well to the Germans, but their operation results with the destruction of 271 enemy tanks and 565 automobiles. The other soldiers welcome and face them with a salute. Thus, the face, the eyes, the auras, the souls and the hearts of the marching survivor soldiers are full of sorrow, burden and devastation. It ends with a change of course about wars that the memories will stay forever. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this to help the channel out. Have a nice day.